If you live in the Caribbean and you've been trying to figure out how to get a remote job, but you feel confused, overwhelmed, or like the advice online is not really made for you, then this video is for you. A lot of remote work advice sounds nice until you realize it was created for people living in the US, the UK, Canada, or other major hiring markets. People tell you, just apply on LinkedIn, or there are so many remote jobs, or just fix your resume, but they do not always explain what that looks like when you are applying from Dominica, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Trinidad, Barbados, Grenada, Antigua, or anywhere else in the Caribbean. And that matters because yes, remote work is possible for us too. I know because I've worked remotely for over 12 years from the Caribbean. But I also know that you cannot approach it with guesswork. You need strategy. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to actually start your remote job search for the Caribbean in 2026. We're going to talk about how to choose the right roles, how to look at your skills, how to prepare your resume, why LinkedIn matters, where people go wrong with applications, and what you need to do before you keep applying to more jobs. But before we get into it, my next Remote Ready Blueprint cohort starts on June 8th. This is my 4-week guided program for Caribbean and international professionals who are tired of applying and praying and want to build a real remote job search strategy. So if you watch this video and you know you need support with your resume, LinkedIn, job search strategy, interviews, and remote work readiness, comment ready and I'll send you the details. Now, let's get into it. The first thing I want you to understand is this. Applying to remote jobs randomly is not a strategy. A lot of people are in what I call the apply and pray cycle. They see a job post that says remote, they get excited, they send the same resume they've been using for years, and then wait. No response, so they do it again and again and again. After a while, they start thinking, maybe remote work is just not for me. But sometimes the issue is not that remote work is impossible. Sometimes the issue is that you're applying with no structure. You're not checking if the company hires in your country. You're not tailoring your resume. You're not using the right keywords. You're not choosing roles that match your actual skills. You're not positioning yourself properly. So the first step in starting your remote job search is not actually applying. The first step is getting clear. Getting clear on what you're applying for. Clear on what you bring to the table, clear on where you should be looking, clear on how to present yourself. Because if you skip that part, you may end up sending out dozens of applications and still getting nowhere. And I know that is frustrating. I know it can make you feel like something is wrong with you, but many times you don't need to give up. You just need to adjust your strategy. The next thing you need to do is look at your skills. And I do not mean just asking yourself, what job do I want? I mean really looking at what you already know how to do. A lot of people say, I want a remote job. But when I ask what kind of remote job, they're not sure. This is where the confusion starts because remote work is not one job. Remote work is a way of working. You can work remotely in customer service, administration, virtual assistance, social media management, sales, data entry, project coordination, operations, tech support, bookkeeping, teaching, content writing, recruiting, and so many other areas. So instead of saying, I want a remote job, start asking, what kind of remote roles fit my skills? So if you have customer service experience, that can transfer to customer support remotely, client success, appointment setting, virtual assistance. If you have admin experience, that can transfer into executive assistant work, customer support, scheduling, inbox management, data entry, or project coordination. If you have experience teaching, that can transfer into online tutoring. If you have social media experience, that can transfer into content coordination, community management, even marketing support. If you have sales experience, that can transfer into appointment setting, lead generation, sales support, customer success, and even business development support. The problem is that many people have skills, but they are not connecting those skills to remote roles. So they either apply for everything or they apply for roles that do not match them at all. That is why skill clarity matters. Before you apply to another remote job, I want you to write down your experience and ask yourself, what tasks have I done before? What tools have I used? What problems have I solved? What type of support have I provided? What kind of communication have I handled? What results have I helped to create? because your experience may have more value than you realize. You just have to learn how to position it. Once you understand your skills, the next step is choosing one or two remote role categories to focus on. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They apply for customer service today, social media tomorrow, HR the next day, data entry the day after that, and then maybe a random executive assistant role because it says remote. That kind of scattered approach makes your job search harder. It also makes your resume harder to tailor because every role is asking for something different. Instead, I want you to focus. Choose 1 to 2 role categories that make sense for your current skills. For example, you might choose customer support and virtual assistant roles, admin support and executive assistant roles, social media assistant and content coordination, online teaching, training support. When you narrow your focus, everything gets easier. Your resume becomes clearer, your LinkedIn becomes stronger, your job search becomes targeted, and your interview preparation becomes more focused. And you stop wasting energy applying to roles that were never aligned with you in the first place. Now, this doesn't mean you can never explore other options, but when you're starting out, focus helps because confusion creates delay, clarity that creates movement. Now let's talk about your resume because I need to be honest with you. A lot of people are applying to remote jobs with resumes that are not helping them. The resume may look nice, it may have a clean design, it may have all the jobs listed, but it is not positioned for remote work. A remote-ready resume needs to do more than list duties. It needs to show that you can communicate clearly, manage your time, solve problems, use digital tools, work independently, support teams or clients, and produce results. Remote employers are not just asking, can this person do the job? They are also asking, can this person do the job without being physically in an office? That means your resume needs to show evidence. Instead of only writing responsible for answering customer inquiries, you want to show what that involved. Did you handle email support? Did you resolve complaints? Did you manage high volume communication? Did you use a CRM? Did you document issues? Did you support customers across different channels? Did you improve response time? The more specific you are, the stronger your resume becomes. And also, please stop sending the exact same resume to every remote job. I know it feels easier, but it is not strategic. Your resume should be adjusted based on the role you are applying for. That doesn't mean rewriting the whole thing every single time, but it does mean paying attention to the job description and making sure your resume speaks to that role. Look at the keywords, look at the required skills, look at the responsibilities. Then ask yourself, does my resume clearly show that I match this? If the answer is no, fix it before you apply. Because sometimes people are not being rejected because they have no experience. They're being overlooked because their resume is not making the connection clear. Now let's talk about LinkedIn. I know some people do not love LinkedIn. Some people feel like it's too corporate, too polished, or just not for them. But if you want remote work, especially international remote work, then LinkedIn matters. Your LinkedIn should not just be an online copy of your resume. It should help people understand who you are, what you do, and what kind of roles you're targeting and what skills you bring. If your headline only says seeking opportunities, that is not enough. If your about section is empty, that is not helping you. If your experience section is vague, that is not positioning you. And if your skills don't match the roles you want, that's a definite problem. Your LinkedIn should be intentional. Your headline should speak to the type of work you do or want to do. Your about section should give a clear picture of your experience, your strengths, and your target roles. Your experience section should highlight relevant responsibilities and the results. Your skills section should include keywords connected to the jobs that you want, and your activity should support the direction that you're moving in. You do not have to post every day on LinkedIn, but you should at least have a profile that makes sense when someone lands on it. Because sometimes after you apply, someone may search for you, and when they do, your LinkedIn should support your application and not confuse them. Now, this part is very important for Caribbean and international applicants. Not every remote job is open worldwide. You need to understand that. Sometimes a job says remote, but when you read the details, it says US only, or Canada only, or must be authorized to work in the UK, or must live in a specific time zone, or must be located in a certain country. So before you apply, read the post properly. Do not just see the word remote and assume it includes you. Look for phrases like worldwide, international, global, work from anywhere, LATAM, contractor, or time zone specific language. Also, pay attention to whether the company hires employees or contractors. Some companies may not be able to hire you as an employee in your country, but they may be open to contractor arrangements. You also want to use platforms and search terms that give you a better chance. Search for terms like remote worldwide, work from anywhere, international remote jobs, global remote roles, remote contractor jobs, LATAM remote, depending on your role and the time zone, virtual assistant remote, customer support remote worldwide, executive assistant remote contractor. The more intentional your search terms are, the better your results will be. And again, this is why strategy matters, because if you're spending hours applying to jobs that are not open to your region, you're going to feel defeated. But the issue may be that those were not the right jobs to apply for in the first place. Another mistake people make is waiting until they get an interview to start preparing. Do not do that. You should be preparing before the interview comes. Remote interviews often test more than your experience. They also test how clearly you communicate, how prepared you are, how comfortable you are with video calls, how well you understand the role. You need to be ready to answer questions like, tell me about yourself. A lot of people struggle with that question. Why do you want this role? Why do you want to work remotely? How do you manage your time? How do you communicate with a remote team? What tools have you used? Tell me about a time you solved a problem. How do you handle deadlines? Why should we choose you? And please, do not wait until the night before to figure out your answers. You want to practice speaking about your experience clearly. You want to use examples. You want to connect your past work to the role you're applying for, and you want to show that you understand remote work is still real work. It requires discipline, communication, accountability, and professionalism. Now let's talk about tools. You do not have to know every tool in the world to get started, but you should be familiar with common remote work tools. Tools like Google Workspace, Zoom, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Trello, Asana, ClickUp, Notion, Canva, Calendly, and basic CRM or help desk platforms depending on the role. So if you're applying for customer support, tools like Zendesk, Freshdesk, or similar platforms may show up. If you're applying for project coordination, tools like Asana, Trello, ClickUp, or Monday.com, they may show up. If you're applying for virtual assistant roles, you may need calendar tools, email management, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Zoom, Canvas, scheduling tools if you're doing social media. You don't need to be an expert in everything, but if a tool in a job description looks unfamiliar, that is a sign you need to start learning. The good thing is, many of these tools have free tutorials online. Take time to learn the basics, because when you understand the tools, you also feel more confident applying. Now, this is a simple step, but it makes a big difference. Track your applications. Don't just apply and forget. Create a simple spreadsheet with the company name, job title, link to the job post, date you applied, resume version used, location requirements, and follow-up notes. This helps you to see patterns. Maybe you're applying to too many roles outside your skill set. Maybe you're not tailoring your resume. Maybe you're applying mostly to US only jobs. Maybe you're not following up. Maybe you're getting responses for one type of role but not another. When you track, you stop guessing, and that is the whole point. You want to make decisions based on information and not emotions, because remote job searching can be emotional. You may feel excited one day and discouraged the next. But when you have a system, you can look at what is actually happening and you can adjust. Now, I want to say this because I think a lot of people need to hear it. You do not have to figure out remote work alone. Yes, you can learn a lot from free content. You can watch videos, save posts, read articles, and try to piece things together. But at some point, if you're still confused, still applying with no response, still unsure about your resume, still unsure about LinkedIn, still unsure about what roles you should target, then you need some structure. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is exactly why I created the Remote Ready Blueprints, because I know what it feels like to live in the Caribbean and want to access global opportunities. I know what it feels like to have skills and still keep needing help to position them. I know that a lot of talented people are not lazy. They're just overwhelmed and underguided. So inside the Remote Ready Blueprint, we spend 4 weeks working on your remote job search foundation. We look at your skills, we work on your remote ready resume, we improve your LinkedIn positioning, we talk about where to search and how to apply strategically, we prepare for interviews, we talk about tools, communication, and remote work readiness. This is not a magic job guarantee. I will never promise you that if you join, you will automatically get hired. That would not be honest. But what I can say is that you will stop approaching your job search with guesswork and start building a clearer strategy. And that matters. So if you're starting your remote job search from the Caribbean in 2026, here is what I want you to remember. Do not apply and pray. Start by understanding your skills. Choose 1 to 2 role categories. Make your resume remote ready. Fix your LinkedIn. Search for jobs that actually are open to your region. Prepare for interviews before you get them. Learn the basic tools. Track your applications and get support if you know you need structure. Remote work is possible for us too, but possibility alone, that's not enough. You need preparation, you need positioning, and you need strategy. And if you want support with that, the next Remote Ready Blueprint cohort starts on June 8th. So comment ready below or message me the word ready and I'll send you the details. Thank you so much for watching. If this video was helpful, make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone in the Caribbean who is trying to figure out remote work. And remember, stop applying and praying, start applying with strategy. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.